So these are the incredibly boring key terms for doing qualitative research for the first chapter I asked you to read, which is what you can and can't do with qualitative research. Oddly enough, the book doesn't define qualitative methods. In the textbook, one person says sort of offhandedly in that chapter, well, qualitative deals with how stuff happens and quantitative deals with how many. But for the purposes of an incredibly boring quiz and your incredibly boring midterm and final, I want you to have a longer definition, which came from Making Sense of the Social World by Chambliss and Schutt. Qualitative methods such as participant observation, intensive interviewing, and focus groups that are designed to capture social life as participants experience it, rather than in categories the researcher predetermines. Usually it focuses on the meanings that participants attach to events and to their lives. By contrast, quantitative methods, let me see if I can do that. Quantitative methods, according to Chambliss and Schutt, quantitative data analysis is statistical techniques used to describe and analyze variation in quantitative, meaning numerical measures, numbers, statistics. The text also uses the phrase dominant paradigm, and I had some concern you might not know what that means. A paradigm is, according to the textbook, is a conceptual framework. According to Merriam-Webster, a paradigm is a philosophical or theoretical framework. So if you're thinking of the dominant paradigm, what you're thinking of is the dominant framework or ideas that are currently in circulation. That's your dominant paradigm. Methodology, another word also, also used in the textbook. A methodology is a procedure or a set of procedures. And Merriam-Webster says the methodology that's employed in an experiment is essential to a success. I mean, if you have good methods, Merriam-Webster doesn't say this, you'll get better data. If you have lousy methods, your data probably isn't going to be that great. Anyway, Merriam-Webster says, that's an online dictionary, probably the best online dictionary in my opinion, bad methodology has spoiled thousands of research projects. So whenever a piece of research is published in a scientific or medical journal, the researchers always carefully describe their methodology. Otherwise, other scientists, social scientists, natural scientists, couldn't possibly judge the quality of what they've done. So you always say what you did, what your methods were, so people understand the quality of what you've done. So, constructivist versus naturalist methods. Constructivist methods, as defined in the glossary, there is one in the back of the textbook. That's when a researcher focuses on how something comes about through the close study of interactions in different contexts. So, as a researcher, you're watching things interact. For your final paper, for your interview, you're mostly going to be using naturalist methods. Naturalist methods, according to the textbook, again, there's a glossary in the back, that's research which looks at a subject's, that's the person you interview, a subject's worlds on their own terms. You're interested in how people define matters for themselves. You're not going to spend hours and hours studying interactions. You're just going to ask people in the interviews how they see their world. So the last thing I want you to know is mixed methods, and that's when a study uses both quantitative and qualitative data. You are only going to be using qualitative data in your final paper because the class is qualitative research methods. Have a great day, class, and thanks for listening.